So here we are, day 3. We've got a lot more coming at you today. We're going to be diving into a lot of the Old Testament. I hope you guys yesterday really took the time to read through some of those notes. There was a lot of chapters to go through in there. Keep going back, referring back to that as we continue in this journey, because there are many, many things in that pattern that we talked about from Genesis all the way through to Jesus that we're going to kind of keep pulling from as we go through the rest of this journey together. But as usual, we're going to start this off the right way with a time of prayer, setting our hearts and minds that can never be overstated. The true power of prayer in the sense of connecting us to God, setting our hearts and minds properly. In the Old Testament, there's an idea for this, and it's called meditation. And we go through that actually in another journey in a little more depth. But let's practice that together. Now, yesterday we did an exercise, kind of a prayer exercise, where we took the Lord's Prayer and we divided it into 6 sections, and we kind of wrote down, doing something probably a little different for most of us in kind of an active thought prayer, where we're writing things down and kind of trying to fill in the gaps and then praying from that. Some of us don't struggle with what to pray. We can pray straight from our hearts, just in our minds and with our words, and we don't struggle with that. Some of us struggle with what do we say. And that exercise was just meant to kind of help some of us who struggle with, I don't really know what to say, how to understand, how to kind of break it apart and use template prayer. And then for some of us, it was a little more difficult on the other side, where it's like, well, I just kind of say what's on the top of my mind and start talking to God kind of just very naturally, like a conversation, which is great too. And so sometimes one or the other of these will kind of stretch us a little bit and try new ways of prayer, and then sometimes it'll be just perfectly normal and actually help us. And so today we're going to kind of flip the script a little bit and kind of do a different type of a time of prayer to set our hearts and minds. And this is called contemplative prayer. You heard us mention it a few days ago on day 1. And contemplative prayer, it just means to contemplate or to think about, to meditate on, to kind of replay over and over. And what I want you to do during this time of prayer this time, I'd like you to, if you feel comfortable with this, to take your hands when you sit down, wherever you're at, if you're kind of on your couch or on your back patio, wherever you are, just take a moment, take your hands with your palms up, set them just like this. And I want you to be silent during this prayer. And I want you just to think in your head, if you need to think this over and over, and just simply thinking and saying, God, here I am. Search me, teach me your ways. Just for these next few minutes, that's what we're doing in these journeys, trying to learn the way of Christ, trying to become a disciple, a follower, following so closely in the manner and the way that Jesus saw life, did life. And so what I want you to do in this few moments of prayer is called a contemplative or a thought prayer. And I just want you to, it's a symbolic act, just like baptism is, which we're going to talk more about. Setting your palms up as if you're just giving your life to God, giving your day, giving your time and your mind right now to God. And just put your hands, just palm up, and just simply say, God, here I am. Teach me your ways. And just say that over and over in your mind, and just be quiet in that thought, just for a few moments, and then we'll come right back in to the Immersed journey. All right, guys, so as we're coming out of that time of contemplative prayer or thought prayer, kind of in silence, just asking God, I encourage you to continue to use that. Use it. I personally use it in the mornings very frequently, just kind of saying, God, I give my day to you and help me and teach me and show me. Now, don't be afraid if God starts to show you things that He wants to address in our lives and indeed even leads us and shows us these amazing things He's wanting to do, but it may indeed cost us, which is exactly what Jesus came and showed us and taught us. So what we're going to do now is jump right into more of this immersed journey on baptism and the understanding and idea of how God saves His people through water, like the pattern we talked about yesterday. Today, we're going to dive a little bit more into another analogy of it, of this salvation through water from the idea of cleansing in the Old Testament. So let's jump into it.